Hey guys, I'm AHG Designs, and today I want to talk about something I really like, books. Now, not the amazing books behind me here. Maybe another day I'll talk about all of these lovely guys. I'm just proud of this little setup here, so that's going to be the background for today. But what I want to talk about are books like resources, things that inspire me, things that help me when I need help working on projects, things like that. So I'm going to talk to you about my 5 favorite books that I use as either resources or as inspiration for my projects. So the first book I'm talking about is one I've mentioned in another video, and that is this one, The Reader's Digest Complete Guide to Sewing. This has a little bit of everything in it. It has all different seam types, all different ways to apply zippers, all different ways to do buttonholes, all different ways to do everything with amazing illustrations. Now, I'm a very visual person, so having step-by-step examples with drawn pictures of how to do it is insanely helpful to me. I'm a very visual learner. And if you were also a little bit more on the methodological way of learning, it also has a lot of written instructions. So when the two are put together, it is an amazing resource for how to do a little bit of everything in sewing. It's super handy. I absolutely love this book. I would recommend it to anyone who is learning sewing and anyone who is even experienced in sewing. So again, when you're stuck, this has everything you might need. Now, the first book I mentioned was actually a book that we used at school a lot. It was one of the textbooks we had to purchase, but also one of the handiest books we had. This is another book that we had to get for our schooling. The Survey of Historic Costume. This giant textbook was honestly one of my favorite things to just leaf through. There are so many different eras covered in here, from Egyptian times all the way to the 90s, honestly. It's got a little bit of everything about every era. Now, it doesn't focus on very many different places in the world, unfortunately. I really wish they did, because there's some really interesting things out there. But it covers an awful lot with really good references and has great images, examples that are primary sources like paintings and such, not as many illustrations. But it does have illustrations as well to help. It talks about the silhouettes, talks about what the garment names, descriptions. There's an area in the back that has all the information you might need. This thing is an amazing resource if you're trying to learn anything about historic costume. I love this thing. I'm never gonna get rid of it. It's amazing. The next book on my list was not actually a textbook from school, but is considered a textbook, and some schools do have it as a mandatory reading. It is The Mood Guide to Fabric and Fashion. Now, this is a book by the creators of Mood, which is a fabric store in New York, and also I believe it's also in LA. But it's one of the most famous fabric stores in the entire world. It's where Project Runway is filmed. And this is the book from the store, written by people from the store. It covers so many different things about different kind of fabrics, like how they're made, but also how to use them and what kind of projects to use them in. It is extremely handy, and my copy, I got it when I went to New York City for a project for school, and it is actually signed by the owner because he was there that day. So I have a signed copy of it, has the date and everything from when I went, and says like follow my dreams and like everything like that. And it's honestly a little on the inspiring side to have this signed copy of this book. I love to just look through this thing, and also there's a picture of Swatch the dog. I love to just look through it and see what it says about each fabric, how to use it, and it talks about the different staff picks of their fabrics. It's really, honestly, a really great book for learning about using fabrics. Now, my next book is actually a series of books. I have 3 out of 4 of them, and they were used, again, as textbooks in my school, which is really cool. The books I'm talking about are the pattern magic books. These are, what's a good word? Crazy. They're crazy, because it takes everything you know about pattern drafting and kind of just throws it out the window. It's very abstract, very creative, very artistic pattern drafting methods. These books are originally written in Japanese, so these are all English translations. They are primarily visual aids. The written descriptions are not very long. It's not at all like the Reader's Digest books. These ones are visual. It shows you how to visually do everything. My classmates and I got to experiment with these in our classes and try out all sorts of different things. Honestly, it really showed too, because a lot of my classmates for their final collections used things from these books and came out with some absolutely amazing pieces. One of the most memorable definitely would have been this cover piece here, inspiring one of my classmates to make an entire collection of pyramids. It was amazing. Shout out to Terry. You're awesome. What I really like about these books is they they push you to try out all these things. They push you to want to experiment more. They push you to want to push the boundary of what is clothing and what can it be and what can it do? What kind of abstract shapes can you make out of it? They are really, really cool. I would recommend to anyone who is interested in pattern making because, again, they're a little bit crazy, but they're really cool and really inspiring. Now, my fifth favorite book is a little bit less of a resource compared to my other ones. This one is almost purely inspiration, but it is The Art of Disney Costuming book. This thing is such a treat that Disney has even made this. It shows detailed pictures of a bunch of the most famous live-action Disney costumes, and it has detailed descriptions on what the inspirations were for the costume designers, and it talks about all sorts of different things, but it's mostly the fact that it's this huge book with giant pictures detailing so much about these wonderful costumes that, I mean, so many people love so much. So this thing, as someone who wants to do a lot more live action Disney costumes, is just an amazing resource, but it's also so inspiring. A lot of these costumes I don't think I'll ever try to aim to make myself, but to look at them up close like this without having to be at any of the Disney vaults or anything or any of the shows is just such a treat, and it's amazing. And I also never expected the book to be quite this large. It's huge. It's also decently thick. There's a lot of the costumes included in it. It is just a treat. The absolute treat. And it's definitely one of my favorites because of that. I just love to flip through it and just feel inspired by it. So these have been some of my 5 favorite resources and inspiration books that I have in my personal little library. I hope this has been interesting to you. Maybe it's helped you maybe think out your future collection of books and such. I find a lot of people who are in any form of costuming do tend to eventually accumulate quite a collection, and there's good reason. You always need stuff to refer to and always things maybe to help inspire you. So thank you for watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video next time. Bye guys!